Hey, everybody. It's the Tesla Lifetime. No, I don't like that. It's time for the Tesla Life.
That's better.
Tesla Life Hour. I got to work on that. It's a brand new year.
Yay!
It's a brand new year. And there's a person here. Hey. So, welcome to the Tesla Life episode 79 for January 2nd, 2019. My name is Russell Frost. And I am here to play the music, show the title card, and get the hell out of the way so we can have a show. So I'm going to do that after I introduce my co-host, our host for this evening. As always, in romance mode, it's Mark Coughlin.
You're just jealous because I've got extra lighting effects going on for some reason.
I am super jealous. We don't even have to play a game. Absolutely.
Welcome to snowy Ontario today as the snow falls and the temperature drops below zero. But don't worry, it's getting up above zero by the weekend. And I'm talking Celsius. So anyone listening to the show in America has no clue as to what I'm saying. But
I was so confused.
More Diet Pepsi. Is all I have to say.
Right.
Speaking of people from the cold nether regions of this continent, our man near Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
It is -2 in Chicagoland right now. It's
Fahrenheit.
Celsius. No, actually, yeah, it's not that bad.
-2 Celsius.
Yeah.
Have you no metric on me, you commie?
Yes. And Russell, you're always kidding me about albedo and white glare. How's
I know I'm Mr. like overexposure. Hi, I'm your high key fashion photographer for tonight. Well, speaking of a man who's somewhat romantically lit, impeccably microphoned, our man in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Patrick Connor.
I was envious of Mark's lighting, so I dimmed the lights here a little bit just to be a little more cool like Mark. Yeah.
Maybe this is like a new Tesla Life standard. You know,
maybe.
If you're going to be on the Tesla Life, you need to be in romance mode. That's it.
Yeah, crackling fireplace. Nice.
I have to say, I might agree with that. Well, let's see. We actually have a whole bunch of news this week. And I'm going to turn, let's see. We've got, Mr. Coughlin's going to take the first story and run with it, I hope.
The Tesla was, of course, and has been tested at the IIHS, which is an organization that tests the safety factors of the cars. And recently, which we found kind of interesting here, is that the safety factor of the headlights on the Model 3 advanced from a adequate to a good. So they say as of as of June 2018, they went from an adequate to a good rating, which of course is going to increase their score. But what I find interesting is what little tweak did they make to the headlights, which of course has not been published. Nobody knows what exactly it is. Yeah. If it was a change in manufacturer, if there was something that was added to it or taken away that made the lights move up a notch on the scale. But if you have a car that's before June, manufactured before June of 2019, you've got the adequate, and if you're after that date, then you've got the good rating. So I'm at an adequate rating, and I don't feel I'm in peril or anything. It's they seem fine to me, but I'm just wondering if anyone has heard what that might be. That
God, your car
up a notch. Yeah.
You might as well list it on Kijiji there, Mark, because it's no good anymore.
Tony pulls that right from the pre-script notes. Awesome.
We are. I mean, that's like a Tim Hortons joke.
That's almost as good. Almost.
Yep. I'm totally lost in your. You guys are speaking metric. I don't know what's going on.
See, now being true Musk, he should have come out with a tweet announcing this improvement and saying something to the effect of they now go to 11.
Ludicrous lights now enabled.
Right. Yeah.
Well, why are we just hearing about it now?
Yeah, it has been some time, but could it also be that the IHS hasn't released their findings? Like this article came out earlier in the week.
Right. So it took them this long to get back to the queue to get tested.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to report that we got our car in August. So we have the new.
You've got the good lights.
Mine is so much better than yours. I'm not sure how, but it's totally better.
No, Patrick. They're not better. They're good.
They're good.
Good. Yeah.
Adequate. Mine are good. Okay. Yes. That's kind of like this podcast. It's adequate.
Wow.
Show title.
Man.
No longer adequate. Right.
No longer adequate. Yes. So, and that's a good alert to the people in the chat room that are live now. If you come up with a show title during the show, please send it in, and we may use it. And we would appreciate any direction you can send us on. So we look forward to your submissions.
Absolutely. Submit. Chat room. Submit. Oh, sorry, that's something else. It is interesting. I mean, because I'm like a big LED light kind of geek. So I am wondering, did they change the reflector? Did they actually change the dye? Or is it something are they just pumping more power into it?
They turned the voltage up to 11.
Yeah, right. I genuinely wonder. Now, I mean, of course, the juicing it up kind of comes with some costs, which means you're going to be replacing a fairly expensive LED at some point.
Yeah, we don't know I don't know what they did. So yeah, that would be interesting to find out.
I need to, what we need to do is Patrick and Mark need to get photographs of your lights and send them to me because I just would like to look at them.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Can you do that?
Say if either of you could meet up with someone who has the other lights and just park them side by side, take a picture of them
right here. Right? Mark has all.
No, he's meaning you could compare them in the same picture.
Yeah, I mean, just like
same lighting conditions, whatever. Yeah,
I want to see them non-illuminated.
There's a few kilometers or miles. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
I want to see them non-illuminated because you could just change your reflector and make a significant difference.
Right.
Or again, maybe they put a bigger dye in there, a bigger LED dye, and I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm a big enough geek that I wonder about these things. Either way, it's good that Tesla's responding and doing this, and it's a shame that poor Mark, will probably run into a post at night because he doesn't have good lights.
I can no longer drive at night.
Yeah. Right.
See Mark driving down the road. This is going to be him. Hi, I'm looking. Is that a stop sign?
Oh, that's why he's in this dark room, so he can keep his night vision ready to go at any time. He has to jump in the car.
Exactly.
I like that. Turn the radar up to 11. Well, our next story comes from Teslarati, which I just like saying, Teslarati, and hinges on the opinion of a Wall Street analyst from Wedbush Securities. Now, quickly on the panel, how many of you have ever heard of Wedbush Securities?
I read the article and I saw the name.
How many of you heard of Wedbush Securities before today? So I haven't, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm not a stock expert. I'm not trying to use their lack of name recognition to undermine their points. Well, maybe I am. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives said that underlying drivers, quote unquote, for the EV market will likely encourage customers to purchase Tesla's most affordable electric sedan, despite the focus of other car makers on larger vehicles such as SUVs. Well, that's an interesting point of view. And this led Mr. Ives to make a very supportive, dare we say, bullish prediction for Tesla for 2019 and beyond, according to the Teslarati article.
Yep, he's got certainly a positive view of what demand is going to be like for the Model 3 going forward.
The one thing that kind of annoys me is you'll have to do some additional research to find out a list of all of his underlying drivers. I mean, are these the moats that Patrick, keeps talking about? Is it the supercharging network? Is it the you can drive on electric? That it's just he lists underlying drivers.
Right. He wants you to buy his report.
Quite possibly, yes. Yeah. I mean, we have a good idea of what those underlying drivers might be, but
he doesn't make them known in the article.
I tried to look him up in tip ranks, and he's not listed.
Ooh, is that a good thing?
Oh, anytime somebody says you should buy this or that stock, I'm like, okay, well, what's your track record of saying you know what you're talking about? So tip ranks is something I often look up, and a bunch of the shorters have really crappy records. And this guy's, I want to apply the same metric to any advice and not just, I like what he says, so he must be right. So I wanted to see if he was listed, and he's not listed. So too bad.
I mean, this is, in a sense, this is a huge topic, and it's a very timely topic as the fourth quarter just ended, as Tesla embarks on a new year with a whole bunch of new challenges. Shall we list them? The 35K Model 3?
Yep.
Hopefully.
The Model Y, the truck, the semi,
the Roadster.
The Roadster.
I don't know how far out are you looking right now, but
I mean, well, I guess what I'm
profitability
right. For this year, was the third quarter going to be their zenith or not? We don't know.
And diminishing tax incentives.
Yeah,
diminished.
Well, right. I mean, but slowly, halved and halved.
And then Model 3 going worldwide. That's going to be a big thing this year.
Yep. And entering the European market in 2 months.
Right. And China after that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, arguably the timing of that's a little sloppy about the EU thing. And China, is years off potentially.
Right. So I just don't know what his underlying factors are for, Tesla's continued growth and how far out he's looking, since he didn't tell us.
Right. Can we? I want to segue into another story that's later in the show, but I think it's related to this, which is Tesla announced, was it yesterday, that they are dropping the price, of their vehicles $2,000.
Yes, which 3 weeks ago on this show, if you were watching it, Mark and I were talking about this coming up. And we said it would be really cool if they dropped the price. And then we said, oh, that's a lot for them to drop it. And then we said, well, about 2,000 would be right. And that's exactly what I think they listened. They heard the show. Obviously. And they did what we suggested.
Well, our subscriber base went up by 1. So I think that one was Elon.
That was Elon. All right.
Elon.
Under a fake name, of course. Yes.
You could at least give it like the Tesla Life price adjustment, You could at least give us a little cred, bud, We would credit you, okay? But I mean, I think it's a very prescient statement from both you and Mark about from both of you guys on this. And certainly Tesla recognizes they don't want the lack of that. It's a lot easier to overlook $1,750 than it is almost $4,000. And Tesla's basically kind of wiped that out in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and said, okay, fine. We'll meet you halfway, But
yeah, it's actually better than halfway because the tax credit you don't get back until you do your taxes, where this is a discount right now. And if you didn't qualify for the tax incentive for whatever reason, you still get this discount. So there's lots of reasons that this is better in many ways than the incentive was.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I agree completely. Well, next up, I think Tony has a story for us.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about now, kind of going, I know this is the Tesla life, but we can't just talk about Teslas all the time.
What?
So,
you can't, chump.
I hijacked the show.
Actually, we spent more than a year doing that.
Who's counting? I want to
79.
take a few minutes and talk about the Ford Ranger.
Is this the Ford
You
Life?
go.
What are you talking about?
You go, Tony. You go.
Which was the second runner-up to the Detroit News Car of the Year, behind the Corvette ZR1.
Oh.
For some reason, still consider that for whatever reason. But Detroit News, the Chevy Corvette ZR1 was the runner-up to the Car of the Year, and for the first time, the Tesla Model 3, of course, the first time was the Model 3, but I believe for the first time, Tesla is the Detroit News Car of the Year. And this was for 2018. And this is from Henry Payne, who test drives cars for a living, like a lot of cars, like all the cars. And not only did he give the Model 3 the Car of the Year designation, he bought one.
That is quite the endorsement from a guy who writes for the Detroit Auto News. And they, I wonder who advertises in that. I don't think it's Tesla. So.
Just about everyone else, and especially all the Detroit manufacturers. Yes, and he has a lot of really good things to say about the Model 3. And then also going into the Tesla model and how they've built up and bucked the system. And have grown, and talks about how they're really doing all of this stuff to push the entire industry forward. And for all of that, he gives the Model 3 the 2018 Car of the Year award.
And actually, Henry, we talked about him in an Autoline segment a couple of weeks ago, where he brought the car on to Autoline, which is a Detroit, web show that has been on forever. And he brought the car on, talked up the aspects of it. There was some banter back and forth about, some charging jokes and this and that. But really, I think overall, he explained that the reason he bought it was for the performance of the car itself. It didn't matter it was electric or not. The car's performance and handling were superior. And for the price tag it put it in, he couldn't avoid purchasing it. It made complete sense to him. And he even talked about how, with Michigan, the state, banning sales, he actually had to go pick up the car in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's his service center is in Cleveland, Ohio. So he lives in the Detroit metro area, and he had to travel to Cleveland to buy the car and get it serviced when it requires service. He has to drive to Cleveland. But,
yeah, how afraid of competition are you? You don't even want to take the car head on. You actually just want to say, no, you can't sell them here, and put these legal roadblocks up. That's ridiculous. That's not. And
as we know, there's many states still that have those blocks in place. Connecticut comes to mind just recently that still has that in place. Texas, another state that is blocking access.
I thought they were all about freedom in Texas. Come on.
Apparently not.
Because they're pro-business.
They're just mad that they didn't get the Gigafactory, so this is their revenge.
Right.
But putting this together with the previous article about the analyst, so I think things that we've seen here for a while, things that Tesla owners have been saying for a long time, I think finally is now getting into the larger consciousness of these are great cars. They have great performance. They are smoother and quieter and more fun and zippy. And there's just so many things now that I think is finally getting into the larger zeitgeist. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, exactly right. That was one thing I wanted to touch on was, and I believe he was the one I've read I read a lot, but whether it was in his article and now here I'm trying to find it, but I'll just say it off the top of my head that someone had written recently that the batteries in the cars and the EVs are not just for the environmentalists, the hot rodders, and the fast drivers and the sport car drivers are really starting to take notice that electric vehicles are just a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah, and that's the best endorsement of it is it doesn't matter if it's electric or not. It's just fun to own.
And that is how you win people over. I mean, that's it. You just let them drive one for a day and they don't want to give it up.
Yep.
absolutely. Putting butts in seats, as they say in the car business, right?
Mhm.
It's hard you get in that and then you go drive, a Corolla, and the Corolla's a nice car, but it ain't the same.
Yeah,
No,
I was
it's not.
following a Corolla to work this morning, and it was
What a coincidence!
there was this tailpipe. I was like, oh, I'm turning on biohazard mode. This thing was just spewing at me, and I was thinking, how unfair is it? I'm the one in the electric car, but I have to breathe his tailpipe. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I do that all the time. I'm always like, my finger is right there on the recirc mode. Yeah. I mean, anytime now that I'm in any traffic, I'm just like, oh my God, I never realized that I was breathing this for so long. And now it's just the only thing I can smell.
We got to get a modification to the catalytic converter system that it runs through the cabin and then just out the windows.
That would really make people change.
That would. Yes.
Yeah. It wouldn't take long, like 13 minutes, I think. And,
Yeah. A good amount of the population would be gone.
Our lawyer's calling. We do not endorse people committing suicide. No, this is not good. No.
It's not going to end well. I can kind of feel like
This show is noxious.
Oh, another show title.
Okay, well, then our next story has an interesting change, and we're going to go to Mark for that.
Yes.
Things that just change
just
from one thing
change
to the other.
overnight, and you don't know why, and you don't know when, but it did change. The Tesla semi that we've seen on the roads many times. We know there's a silver one and a black one. It was a matte black, but recently this happened to it. Boom! It got a new wrap, and now it's red.
Oh,
So
they're not going to be offering matte black, and so they wanted to change it.
I don't get it. I don't know
Red.
why. And maybe it got scuffed up. Maybe I'm not sure as to why it changed. They changed it to a red wrap. It actually kind of looks matte in this picture as well.
it really does.
it does. Yeah.
But
Totally.
they made that change basically over a day. So they took it someplace, and here it is at Kettleman City Supercharger. And someone got a snapshot of it, and of course they confirmed that the plates were the same from the black one and now this one. And they're assuming it's just a new wrap placed on the semi.
Well, we've already established that Elon has subscribed to the show and watches all the episodes. So clearly he got to the one where Patrick refused to drive his car until he wrapped it, and he said, "Holy crap, we had to wrap the semi."
You got two naked semis running around.
Yeah, how could they?
Now they did speculate that the black one was a wrap anyways.
Yeah, the red is definitely a vinyl wrap.
Yeah.
That has been confirmed through independent sources. So, and you may ask who those independent sources are. I'm not telling you to protect them, but I know.
I was hoping that we could see the extension cables they're using from the superchargers. Those have to be some
You mean
BB
the
cables.
one thing that Tesla doesn't want anybody to see?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The one
they're
that
not standard.
was
They don't
told
want
to Evan Fusco not to take a photograph of when he
Right.
saw it in his local supercharger.
Right. You would not be able to stop me from taking that photo.
Right.
Yeah,
And hence, neither of these trucks have been seen in Portland or anywhere near it.
that's right. Yeah, Kettleman City is Tesla's property, but if they're at any of the other superchargers where it's not their property, my camera's out.
There you go.
And it pays to know the law, doesn't it, Patrick?
Yes, it does. Yes. Yep.
So
But-
how many stalls is that semi blocking there? I mean,
Yeah, that's a serious issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like it's blocking at least 5 or 6 of them.
Well, Kettleman
Right.
City has 40 stalls. So
40.
the
So-
time I was there were 4 cars.
yeah, and right now it's blocking 35 of them.
Allegedly, doesn't the cord doesn't connect 5 superchargers?
Allegedly,
Right.
it does.
Does it
Allegedly
really?
does. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, when you have a gigawatt-hour battery pack, you need to fill it up quickly. You're not
Right.
going to just do that from a single supercharger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a picture that we shared on our Twitter feed some time ago where someone had shown the mysterious black box that the 5 extension cables went into, and then a single cord or a couple of cords went to the truck. So it's been shown. And if you want to see that kind of stuff, follow us on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, and you can see that through the week as we share some of that information every single day.
Every stinking day. Well, in a related story, just because it has the word supercharger in it, so that's related, and Tesla, our friend Kirsten Karosek at TechCrunch reported last week that Elon has ambitious plans for the Tesla supercharger network in Europe. Well, now, we don't know exactly what they are. At least I don't know what they are. But and I'll quote Mr. Musk here, from Ireland to Kiev, from Norway to Turkey. So apparently you're going to be able to drive all over Europe and charge on the supercharger network, which of course is as Tesla's long-term strategy in the US as well, and globally. So it's good to see them develop that network, especially since cars are going to start going over there at an even higher rate than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
And it's ambitious, as we know Musk time, and we know what plans have been laid out, and the talk of I'm going to double the system and things of that nature rarely gets met in those type of time frames. But again, it's good that these ambitious goals are being set out. Someone is going to hold his feet to the fire, I'm sure. We will report on it, but you've got to set high goals to reach some high standards. So hopefully, and there's a picture that Tony's sharing there.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
Let me just present that to everybody. And we've got a number of superchargers covering a good amount of certainly Western Europe. Eastern Europe, a little bit less. But it certainly looks like and look at Ireland. They talked about Ireland. They've got like a line of superchargers coming in and out, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. So if you go to Ireland, when I was there in 2013, I had to drive from Shannon to Dublin. And so Limerick is where the Shannon airport's at there. And there were no superchargers. And then in 2017, I made that same drive, and there's 2 of them. You can see that there's 2 on the way. And so I stopped and did a report at one of them and uploaded it to the Now You Know webpage, where they have a bunch of supercharger reports. So I've got one of me on I think it's the M5 or whatever that road was there between the 2, and they're gonna have even more soon. So that's great to see.
So I lived in Galway for about a year, and I went to Limerick once. And you know what I did?
Watch the Cranberries in concert.
I left.
I left.
Wow.
Man, what are you trying to do? Cut our user base in half here?
Yeah. He was pissed off Limerick folks there. So, hey, Tony, you were in Galway. Did you go? There's a little town near there called Effin. And,
of course, yes.
Yeah.
Tony spent all his time in Effin.
Well, I spent all my time Effin in Ireland.
Wow. When the hotel I was staying in Limerick, they had this cheese, and it was labeled Effin cheese. And this is effing good cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful. Well, do we have more stories? Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, of course.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to dump this one. I think Mark has some more stuff that was posted on Twitter about the Gigafactory.
Gigafactory number 2, which of course. And where's Gigafactory number 2?
Buffalo.
So that's not the one I'm talking about. Gigafactory
1. You're talking about Gigafactory 1, where they now have a delivery center and Mark.
And the ability to have a factory tour. Now, there are stipulations, of course. You can't just go and have a tour at Gigafactory number 1 in Nevada, although everyone would like to. there was a promotion being run recently that allowed anyone that was picking up a vehicle, they could pick it up from Nevada. They could go to Gigafactory 1, pick it up there, and in tandem with picking up the vehicle, they had the chance to go on a Gigafactory tour. So this was happening in Q4, actually very close to the end of the year. So there were a number of people that were able to do so. And I've got a few photos of people that were doing exactly that just into late December. Here's a shot of a happy Model 3 purchaser.
Aww.
And you can tell in the background, construction going on. Of course, it's Gigafactory 1. It's always under construction.
Is that a person hanging from the crane?
That's why I moved to the next
Move to the
slide.
next picture.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for that.
And here you can see the actual entrance to the delivery center. Probably, again, I've never been to the site, so I'm not sure. But I think this is all temporary.
Nothing says permanent like those flags.
Exactly. So it's something that may move around over time. There has been talk about wanting to establish a tour at the Gigafactory ongoing, have a permanent one. But this is just something that was set up for end of year promotion.
Wait, that flag doesn't say Tesla.
I'm sorry?
That flag behind her. Go to that photo.
One
says
Tesla,
entrance.
and one says entrance.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Nothing says a permanent site like a huge banner that says entrance.
Entrance.
Right. Even the one that's supposed to say Tesla. That's the.
Well, the T's under her arm, right? TESLA. So
that's not an A at the top. That looks like it.
Oh, it's an A.
I'm failing the eye test here because that's
you are definitely failing the test.
Yeah,
like
there's an optometrist for Patrick in the near future.
So I think maybe these are props from the Tesla pop-up store that just kind of goes around.
Could be.
This is a Tesla pop-up store.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to take this tour, but Sparks, Nevada is the middle of nowhere. So you have to really want it to go out there to get your car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course, if these are employees picking up their car, they get to tour it every day. So there's no thrill in it for them, is there?
Right.
Yeah, and you cannot really. You have to appreciate Sparks, Nevada is out in the middle of nowhere. So like I have to wonder like who's. I mean, aside from people that wanted to participate in the promotion and wanted to see the factory, which I totally get, it'd be totally cool, but.
We had three people, Russell. We had three people. Then when I posted the story on Twitter earlier in the week when it broke, I had three people say, "How do I get this? How do I get there? How do I get the invite to do the actual tour?" And I said, "Well, first you got to buy a car there. You have to get up there,
right?
And you have to, of course, make it through the Tesla store. They've got to know about it. No, I already own a Tesla. I just want to go and tour it. No, that's not how it works."
That is how it works with the Fremont tour. If you're an owner, you can schedule a tour. I think you can do it once a year. I think I'm not sure what the details are, but I did that. It was really cool.
And I just wanted to point out in this photo also, you can see just over the hood, there's a few more electric cars in the parking lot. Look at that. That's a first-gen Chevy Volt and another Chevy Volt right beside it.
Wow. Yep.
They are. And of course we saw this when I visited the Hawthorne Design Center. They had a number of charging spots, obviously for Tesla at the supercharger, but just down the building a little bit, they had 6 Clipper Creek chargers where employees that owned other electric cars, Leafs and Volts, were plugged in during the workday. So Tesla certainly has a long history of providing the ability to plug in whether you have a Tesla or not.
That's very cool.
And just a little tip for the listeners: if you go to the Hawthorne Design Center and you try to drive over to the Falcon 9 rocket there, security will stop you. As I found out.
Patrick's heard. He heard.
That's
right, Patrick? No.
Patrick's photo is now at the Hawthorne security office on file.
Right. At the top of the page it says, "If you see this man, shoot him."
Tase him in the face.
So I have another screen I want to share. I want to show you guys here as I'm looking around. So as you can see here, I pulled up here again. I'm still on the Tesla charger, supercharger. So there's one down here in Southern Sparks, Reno. There's one planned
in Reno
for Reno, a supercharger targeted opening in 2019.
Biggest little town in the USA.
Yeah, but isn't Tesla over here?
It's down.
It's around here.
Is it?
Yes, it is, because I actually pulled it up. So Tesla Gigafactory.
Giga. Why did I think it was south?
So it's right there, right? This little
look
pocket.
at that.
So I at least expected there to be something. Right
well, you can charge at the factory.
There's mountains. There's all sorts of desert landscape. And actually, there's more and more buildings being built too. As we've seen in some other site photos.
There's the Gigafactory. I mean, it's on their own map on Electric Avenue.
Very ghostly.
But it would have been cool if they would have just put like the Tesla logo or something right there.
The big T.
Yeah.
Just like burn it into the planet, or
on the map.
Satellite mode, you'll see how they did.
Yeah. But I still think it's kind of funny that, over here in Reno, there's still only two. There's not technically one even in Sparks. But
not yet. Not yet. No, they do have superchargers at the Gigafactory. They are there because I've seen people using them.
Right.
But they obviously they're not on their supercharger list because no one's going out there besides going to the Gigafactory. There's nothing really beyond it, and certainly they don't want people I'm just stopping by. I think I'll charge. That's just not happening.
It's on the Shadow Network, huh? How do you get that?
That's an added bonus depending on how many referrals you get.
Secret level.
Careful, Patrick's. He's a referral guy. He's got some.
I've got 6. That's not. There's no free roadster in my future. Just to be clear.
Well, someday, you aspire to be Bonnie Norman, right? Or Fred Lambert,
Bonnie Norman is stuck at 35. She was just saying, "Hey, how come I'm stuck now? I'm so close. People help me out." She's great.
Yep, she's very active in the Tesla community, isn't she?
She is indeed. Yeah, well, our next story.
I'd rather have her get referrals than someone who's just putting out YouTube videos. She's actually helping people. It's far more valuable than just some YouTuber. Anyway.
That's sounding kind of judgmental.
I am. Yes.
Because when you talk about people that are just putting out YouTube videos, we just put out a YouTube video, and by we I mean Mark.
Right.
Just this week. So
actually, I think Mark's was very helpful.
Maybe
that was a nice tip to the community. He's not just spouting out some crap. I'm not talking about.
Or is Patrick skillfully backpedaling? It's
I hope you got your backup camera working.
There are some less deserving people on YouTube.
Well, that is.
There always is, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, that is an understatement. So yeah, there is a new exciting. Mark, we're gonna say something about that later, weren't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna just drop it. Let's see. Up next, Tesla's offering employee perks for auto. Oh yeah. I like to call this the Tesla employee guinea pig program.
But they're being paid to be guinea pigs with a discount.
If by paid you mean when they spend $50,000, they get some free stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the same as like, here's $20,000 to test something. This is, if you buy a car, we'll give you some extra hardware. So the story is basically, Tesla is opening Autopilot Hardware 3 tests to employees. They get the hardware for free if they buy a Model 3. And of course, they get to test how the system works. And of course, Tesla benefits from that data because they have staff people who are under NDA testing the Autopilot 3. And, there you go. That was kind of a really bad way to introduce that story. I'm sorry.
It's curious that this is the second time we've heard of this. There was a story about this, I want to say a number of months ago.
Right. Now they're asking for more volunteers.
I think that's the wrong picture, Mark.
Yeah, Mark's got the trucks,
right.
Ice trucks there.
That was the next story.
Yeah.
But this is the second time that we've heard about this perks for trading of autopilot use and reporting. But I'm not sure why maybe they need another group at this point. But I would have thought they would have had all the volunteers they require at any point.
I think one of the things that is at issue is a couple of things. First of all, the employees that really, really, really wanted a car probably already bought one with the first release.
Yeah.
And it's still, it's only like a year old. And so that's issue one. So they would have to trade in the old one to get the new one. Issue two is maybe the employees can't afford, a brand new car. But
a brand new $50,000.
A brand new $50,000 car. Right. But with the incentives, so they offered the incentives. They offered the what is it? The interior is really nice, and then you also get, government rebates and taxes. It doesn't bring it down to like 30. What is it? It's not 30,000.
No.
But it's a much more manageable price.
Depends on your definition of manageable.
Right.
And what state you reside in.
Right. Yeah. So in California, how much is their EV incentive? Is it 5,000?
You know what? I don't.
I think it's 20. I think it's 2,500.
I want to say 2,500. Yeah. Thank you.
So that if you bought it last year with the federal credit, that's 10,000 off. And if you buy the Lemur, that starts at 46. You get the upgraded interior for free, so that's going to knock some off the price. You're getting the full self-driving for free because that's what this program's about. So you get a lot for what you're spending. But if you are working at a factory job, that might not be something that you can afford to get.
Yeah. And it's 40,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Obviously, they want more people to participate in this, but obviously, Tesla, with some 30 some odd thousand employees, is an infinite statistical universe where another large group can afford necessarily cough up for a new car.
I would like them to pick some geographical areas. I don't know, say Southern Ontario, and say, hey, if an existing customer would like to do this, here it is, because you get a ton of people that would get on that train. Now, there may be reasons that they don't want that, such as they're not under an employee NDA, and there could be some maybe blowback about what happens and how it's recorded and how it's reported and things of that nature. But I think certainly they could get volunteers if they were to open it up. But I do understand why they don't and keep it to employees.
Yeah, I would sign all the NDAs they wanted if they offered me a $40,000 next gen nav premium upgrade package. Yeah.
There are a few people in Tesla's beta program that are not employees. I think they might be people that have found things through the bug bounty or other programs, and Tesla said, hey, you are really good at this. We're going to give you software early. And they did have them sign NDAs to get in that program. There's how you do it.
All right.
However it works, right? Anything that works.
Yeah.
Well, our next story is, how do I say this? It's somewhat speculative. We're not sure how widespread this is. But we've seen a few reports, a handful of reports, and we've seen some of the, shall we say, perpetrators of this talking about it in social media, and we've seen some of the victims of this talking out on social media. Mark has the photo there. Mark, I'm going to let you do the main intro. What am I talking about, Mark?
We're talking about I guess people upset at Tesla for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of reports now, and both of them that I've seen were from North Carolina, about large pickup trucks parking in Tesla supercharger spots, and in one of the cases, taunting people as they came to supercharge. So, and F Tesla was the chant that somebody heard and recorded on Reddit. But I don't know if this is real or not. This could just be a fictitious story. It could be someone making up something or trying to start something.
Well, I want to, okay, so we know that there's icing. We know that, an icing, I don't have to explain this, I'm sure, to most people, but internal combustion engine, shortened ICE. And when an internal combustion engine is parked in front of a charger, whether it's a Tesla charger or any EV charger, it's called icing. And a lot of times it's accidental, or it's someone who just doesn't care. It's accidental.
Many of the Tesla supercharger locations have signs that say 30-minute general parking. So it is fine for them to park there for a short period.
Yeah. But at the same time, they say pictures or it never happened. We know this happened because here's a video of a Tesla Model X towing a Chevy Silverado away from the superchargers.
Uh-oh.
And to be clear, the guy that did that's his sister's truck, and
it's not just a random truck.
See if it would work. Yeah, it's not somebody that was icing it and yelling "F Tesla," and he just said, "Oh yeah, take this."
Yeah. So, and the people in the truck sat there and watched happily as he hooked up the strap. Right.
Yeah. So if you do run into this, just don't confront them.
Probably don't drag their truck.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to stop sharing this here.
Yeah, that would be a good thing, I think. With any advancement in alt cars, we've seen blowback, we've seen pushback. Yep. Whether it's rolling coal on Priuses, whether it's making fun of people in hybrids, whether it's icing in non-supercharger locations, which is super common, or now this thing against Tesla. I have a feeling it's not as organized as it might appear. But hey, guess what? There's a lot of assholes out there with trucks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of assholes out there with trucks. And here's three bored idiots who, were being idiotic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most of the superchargers are at some restaurant or hotel or whatever that manages that parking. See if they can help. If you know that there's local laws in your state that prevent people from parking at charging locations without charging, then call your parking enforcement and they can get a nice $275 ticket or whatever the amount is in your area. So yeah.
And if someone is being argumentative or is chanting at you or is being intimidating to you, just call the cops.
Yeah.
Or if you're in Texas, shoot them. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Did you say that on our show again?
Does not advocate shooting people. That we were just speaking metaphorically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shoot them
with
your phone camera. Shoot them with your camera.
Right.
Yeah, record the incident. Yes.
Yeah, don't shoot them with the gun that you have with you because
if they're threatening you. I mean, that's the definition of assault.
Right.
Oh, then stand your ground and shoot them. Definitely. Yeah, I mean.
Geez, hold on a second.
Yeah, here's the lawyer.
Oh, great.
Hold on.
Now what?
Hello? No, he didn't mean with a gun. No, he meant shoot pictures. He's a photographer. Right. Okay, yeah, right. Shooting with a picture. Okay. Yeah, Russell, you have to clarify that.
Don't take the Beretta 77 out of your center console, rack a bullet, and pull the trigger while aiming at someone who's offended you. Do not do that.
Okay.
Do not do that. Yes.
All right. He just texted me. That's good. Yeah. All right.
You can use your Smith & Wesson, though.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a camera company?
Everything. Yes.
Okay. Now there is one thing. While we were talking about call the proper authorities, it has come up many times in social media. In some states and municipalities, the police are allowed to issue parking tickets even on private property. Private property, by the way, is like a hotel parking lot. It's not. It's the hotel's parking lot. Technically, there are some things the police can and cannot do. In some states and municipalities, they are allowed to issue parking tickets, and in some they're not.
Yeah.
So you can't be guaranteed that they will or will not be able to do anything. It's always worthwhile to research it, though.
Very good.
Yeah, at this point, let's be realistic. If you're a Tesla owner, chances that this is going to happen to you, that you're going to run into this now.
It depends. If you live in North Carolina, it might be a little more likely.
It seems there are higher odds. Yes, but
apologies to all of you in North Carolina. When really, you live in North Carolina. My apologies.
Oh my gosh! Here we go.
People in Limerick are out. Wow. North Carolina.
Why did I go there?
I don't know.
You know what? You should just cut my mic.
There we go.
Yep.
It's permanently mine.
Yeah, exactly. Permanently
off.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Patrick's got something for us next, I understand.
I love that.
Right. Yeah. So I teased this one last week on the show, and knowing that the tax credit was going to be cut in half this year, I was anticipating a bunch of stories coming out saying Tesla vehicles now cost $3,750 more.
Oh, God.
Because that's how the media rolls with a bunch of Tesla FUDs. So there are some branches of the media anyway. So I wanted to write an article looking at the impact of this being cut in half, and how will it really impact a lot of people when they're trying to get this incentive. And then, so the way that the U.S. incentive works, it's a non-refundable, no carry forward tax incentive, meaning that you can only get back taxes that you've paid that year. So you can't carry it forward to another year. And it's non-refundable, meaning if you are due, if you've only paid $3,000 and the tax credit says you get back $7,000, you can only get back $3,000. So that got me thinking, well, how much money do you really have to make before you're over this $3,750 limit? And of course, taxes are complicated. There's lots and lots of complications too. Are you single or head of household or married filing jointly? Are you itemizing? Are you taking the standard deduction? There's just tons of complications. So just doing an overly simplified back of the napkin math, I was looking at, you would have to, first of all, married filing jointly, have more than the standard deduction, which is $24,400. Assuming you're doing some pre-tax retirement savings, and I kind of just use that to lump together a lot of the other things you could be doing as your deduction. That was $19,000 for 2019. And then you have some money in the 10% bracket and the 12% bracket, and you have to make $109,000 before you're able to use the full $7,500. And then, so I looked at, well, how common is that? And it's not a whole lot of people that make over $109,000. And certainly, there certainly are some people that are in that boat, and they probably already bought a car last year. If you've been holding out waiting for the $35,000 car, it's not necessarily the case, but you're probably, because you can't afford it yet, you're saving up for it, you're waiting for the cheaper car. And so you couldn't utilize the whole tax incentive anyway, for most people. So that was the gist of the article, is that having it down to $3,750 is if you only had $3,500 you paid in taxes, well, hey, you get it all back anyway. And no matter what the number was, that's the most you could get back. If it was higher than that, it wouldn't have helped you more. That's it.
And where can that be found, Patrick, if people want to read up on that a little bit more?
Yeah, you can look at all my assumptions, and if I got any of my math wrong, let me know. You can find that at carswithcords.net.
Very good.
Absolutely.
With all that math, though, my head is just fuzzy.
You're kind of fuzzy anyway. I mean, sort of a fuzzy
You were
guy.
just argumentative today, aren't you, Russell?
Me argumentative? I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't even know. Next, you're going to say I'm foul-mouthed. Fuck. Our final story, or at least our final listed story, because I've stepped into this trap before. Talks about from Electrek, our friends at Electrek, of course. Yesterday, the Tesla confirmed deliveries of 90,700 cars in Q4. And part of that was, I guess, let's just say the interesting part, 61,394 Model 3 vehicles. Is this the first time? Am I mistaken that this is the first time Tesla's actually released hard numbers?
For this quarter?
No, they do quarterly numbers all the time. Mm-hmm. What they don't do is monthly numbers.
Okay. Yeah. My bad then. So yeah, that's certainly a good, strong showing for them. It's not an increase or not a huge increase over Q3, which I think they did 63,000. It was like what, 400 less or something? It was a very, very close number in Q3. So yeah, 63,150. So literally like 240 more vehicles this quarter for Model 3. That's certainly a strong showing. And we'll have to see when the financials come out, how this all, washed out. Like taxes, corporate profits are sometimes so much.
A bit of a shell game, aren't they?
So much, yeah. Oh, this month we made this many.
Well, and we know, of course, Tesla's not your standard, automobile manufacturer, because we know they make money selling cars. But as we've mentioned, on the back end, they also make money selling the ZEV credits to other manufacturers. I mean, so they have so many different lines of income. It's really hard to do a car to profit sort of calculation.
Right. And they have an energy business.
Batteries now too.
Right. Solar panels. And
they don't make that stuff anymore.
Now that the Model 3s that are going out don't get free supercharging, they're going to be selling fuel too. Mm-hmm. So that's very different than what Ford or GM does.
And they don't break it out either. They don't say like, our car division did this, and it's like one lump.
Well, that's interesting. Is Tesla Energy reported differently than Tesla itself?
Yes.
It must be. It's a different name, right?
Yeah, it's reported in kilowatt hours, I believe.
So when a business unit gets big enough, then the SEC requires it to be reported separately. And I don't think any of Tesla's individual businesses are over that threshold now. Yeah. Like Amazon just had to start reporting AWS, their web services, as a separate breakout because they've crossed that threshold.
Okay.
Yeah, and certainly Tesla's energy business is still really small.
Yeah, Tesla home energy numbers are, sort of speculative, shall we say. Yeah.
And those projects they have in Australia, those are huge. So they could get to a point where if they start doing those around the globe, where that becomes a huge business that they break out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. So raise one, pour one out, whatever you want to do for everybody at Tesla for having a strong sales quarter in Q4.
And we should hear in the next couple of days if they say that it was profitable, which of course would be another new thing. Tesla having 2 profitable quarters in a row. I don't think that's ever happened.
No, that has not ever happened.
So we're hoping. We are hoping.
There we go. That's all I got, Mark.
I've got one extra thing, last thing, if you would.
How did I know?
I don't know how you came up with that. But we've obviously, if you don't know, we also have another show that we run called What Drives Us. And on that show, we've had a number of different guests on the show. And today, one of those previous guests showed up on Twitter announcing that he is the recipient of a new Model 3.
Yay, Ben.
Ben Rich, the electric motorcycle rider, holder of many cross-continental records on his electric motorcycle, has picked up a mid-range Model 3 recently. And I'm sure he's only going to use it for inclement weather because all the rest of the time he's on his bike.
Right. Like a real man. Thank you.
He did get an Iron Butt Award. So
but certainly we wanted to send a congratulations out to Ben and happy motoring to him in his new car.
Wow, that's so cool. I had no idea. I totally missed that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on, Ben. Way to go.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a very good guy. And nice to see him driving electric.
Yes.
More.
And
More.
he's a high school science teacher, isn't he?
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, great to, it's always good when people who interact with kids, the future, are stepping up and doing things
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can show them the fart app and they'll just fall in love with the car.
Right? It's okay. You can put your tongue on the battery contacts. It's like a little 9-volt. It's okay. Go ahead.
There are safety protocols.
Oh,
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, the lawyer's calling. Do not lick your car.
You'll probably be dead before it really starts to hurt. So, did I get too dark there?
There's all sorts of useful advice on this show.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, let's do some shout outs and go home then, okay? Tony.
Last call for the
Title.
For the show title. We got some good ones. Of course, no longer adequate is a good one.
No longer adequate.
Yeah, we have F and Cheese from Patrick. Possibly Car Smuggler or Car Smuggling for the Detroit News. Yeah, I don't know. So keep them coming. And shout out to everyone. Everyone of
your car.
Oh, the fatal episode from David just now.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of bad advice given today for some reason. But
I think that's actually my middle name. A lot of bad advice.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone in the chat room. As usual. Really enjoy it. It's almost. I'm starting to think of you guys like a bunch of friends. We get together and so.
You don't get too friendly because yeah.
And of course, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, Mr. Connor.
Hello. So Tony mentioned that there were some questions in the chat. So if you guys put those as a comment, I'll make sure to go back and try to answer those questions. Or you can post the questions on my blog. I'll monitor all of those also. So
Carswithcords.net.
Carswithcords.net.
Also, Lee Moon just threw in de-ice with your not a flamethrower.
That's a good way to de-ice things.
I like that idea, actually.
Our lawyer would not recommend using your flamethrower on people that have blocked your charging spot.
I'm turning the ringer off. I don't care.
So, as always, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and we're on the socials. Our links are there. Charge on.
There we go. I actually, so one of my life models passed away today, and I have to acknowledge this on the show. It's not Tesla related, I'm sorry, but Bob Einstein passed away from cancer at 76. And if that name doesn't mean anything to you, then you're probably not as old as I am, and you probably don't have the same sense of comedy. But if you didn't have Super Dave Osborne in your life was impoverished, and I'm sorry for you. So sadly, today we lost Super Dave Osborne, who is a superhero for the common man. And I just wanted to acknowledge that before
Super Dave was awesome.
Super Dave was the man.
Yeah.
I saw him on the old Dave Letterman show way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Mark's like, I've never heard of this. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Actually, Super Dave was Canadian.
Yes, I know. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to chime in and go, he's a hoser.
Super Dave had started on a Canadian comedy program and then was added to a number of American comedy programs as well.
Yes.
Yep. So, the world is a sadder place now that Super Dave is no longer with us. But he will live on in reruns and tape stunts forever.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Tape stunts that never went well.
Every single one of them ended poorly, which was his hallmark.
That's right.
That's all I got, Mark. I'm turning it over to you.
I'd like to thank everyone that was in the chat room today. Certainly, if you haven't already, press that subscribe button. give us another number. We would really appreciate it. Click on the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever we upload a video, such as the video that we uploaded just a couple days ago, thanks to Russell, where we've got an outline as to how to remove those center caps without scratching up your rims. There's a suction device that we found that is used, can be used very efficiently to do that. Watch the video. Let us know what you think.
The video sucks.
Thanks. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony the Heckler. New show title.
Oh my God, I can't believe you went there. The video's great. And look, it's little tips like this. Like Mark finds a suction cup thing for $2 that harmlessly does this thing that you might want to do. And without doing that, you're in there with like a screwdriver or a Bowie knife or something. God knows how it's going to end.
Right. And you end up scratching up your Tesla logo that you paid $50 for.
Right.
You have to, every year when you want to take your road trip and put the aero caps back on, you have to be buying another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cheers to Mark for doing that. I thought that was a brilliant little video. I mean, I love those things.
I thought it was really cool. And he puts it on there and he's like, and just like this, you pops it out. I'm like, whoa, that is awesome.
It's like he pulled the heart out of a living chest. You know?
Yes, it was that swift. Yeah, one motion. Yeah,
style.
That's how you practice.
Also, if you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at The Tesla Life. You can follow us on Facebook, The Tesla Life #1. And with that, we will see you again next week. Thank you, Lee Moon, also for giving us our music that we use every week. We really appreciate it.
Nicely done. We'll see you next week. Dun, dun, dun. If I have music, I don't. There's the music. Not the smoothest outro I've ever done. My apologies.
Do I get to do it? Tune in next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Thank you.